be able to apply what they have learned to various scenarios. STEM education teaches students on how to adapt the concepts that they have learned to various iterations of problems or issues. That is all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Patricia.
Hi, I'm Elvison.
Hi everyone, my name is Iskandar Haikal.
Hey everyone, I'm Kishandini Murthy, one of the alumni of the STEM Foundation program in University Mercu Terengganu.
So the real question is, why do I choose to pursue in this STEM Foundation?
First of all, there are many interesting subjects that make this course even more fun filled.
The courses are very unique than any other course in Malaysia, as
There is no foundation that offers all the components of STEM once in the program. Most foundation courses are specified to certain science fields, thus not really expose students to the real STEM learning.
I chose ICSTEM because I'm
Foundation is a fun-filled course and I'm
very interested about the STEM subject.
which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Regarding the wow factor of this program,
In STEM Foundation program, they give a chance to a non-background students from high school to pursuing their study in degree in a STEM subject.
in addition, STEM Foundation also introduced the Hafazan program, basically to those Hafiz and Hafizah to further their Hafazan here during the foundation's time.
Here comes the best part of all being in STEM Foundation program.
If you are graduated from Foundation of STEM, you will obtain a golden ticket or a VIP ticket to further your study in degree programs offered by UMT.
Since STEM Foundation is a closed system program,
Once you've completed the STEM Foundation, when you want to enter your degree, you don't have to apply through the UP website anymore.
the students are like a feeder to university, so they will be given a priority to enter and to register any of the courses they wanted.
If you fulfill all the requirements for that particular course. Sounds good, right? That's the best part of being in STEM Foundation program. And not only that, not to forget our lecturers. Our lecturers in STEM Foundation Center, they are very friendly.
And really helpful in my study.
You can knock their door at any time and you can throw any question to them and they'll help you with a smile on their face.
The lecturers are really helpful, especially to the students with a non-background science, so that the non-science students can success like the other students do.
ICSTEM not only pay attention to academic, but also a platform for us to perform.
You'll be given so many chances and so many platforms to expose yourself and expose your talents.
In STEM Foundation program, we also did a lot of activities and joined a lot of fun competitions.
Such as esports, seminars, webinars, talks, debate, innovation competitions, and many more.
Like myself, I used to enjoy innovation competition, which we as a team bring back gold medals for Picturam and Malaysia Technology Expo. I think that's all from me. Don't forget to apply for STEM Foundation at University Malaysia Terengganu soon. Bye-bye.
Guys, do you know why STEM is important? Do you know what I think? Yes, exactly. STEM is important because it teaches critical thinking skill and instill a passion for innovation. Beyond the benefit of learning science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM assists in the problem-solving and exploratory learning that fuels success across a variety of tasks and disciplines. STEM also perfects every part of our life. Yes, science is everywhere in the world around us, and technology is continuously expanding into every aspect of our life. Engineering is the basic design of road and bridge, but also tackles the challenge of changing global weather and environmentally friendly change to our home.
Our world also depends on STEM. The economy, our general well-being is all backed by science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You might be wondering that if STEM is so important, so necessary, and why do we have to keep talking about that? Education has a moral imperative to prepare learners for an increasingly globalized world in which the technology is dramatically altering the nature of work and daily life. In this complex environment, connecting knowledge and skills across the discipline areas is vital. To thrive in this world where they must navigate their future career paths, young people will need to be equipped with capabilities. Inventiveness and creativity can pair with STEM and lead to new ideas and new innovations. Without inventiveness and creativity, in recent developments of artificial intelligence or digital learning would not be possible. These technologies were created by people who learned that if human mind can conceive it, so human mind can achieve it. No wonder they had a great K-12 STEM education teacher.
Advantages or importance of STEM education includes building resilience. Now, during STEM education activities, students learn in a safe environment that allows them to fall and try again. STEM education stresses the value of failure as a learning exercise, which will enable students to embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. This allows students to build confidence and resilience, which enable them to keep going. After all, failure is a part of process that ultimately leads to success. Secondly, it encourages experimentation. Without a little risk-taking and experimentation, many of the technological advancements that have occurred in the last couple of decades would not have been possible. Many of these innovations were created by people who were told that their ideas wouldn't work, and their response was, "Let's try it and see." This type of attitude can be encouraged with STEM learning. Last but not least, it encourages teamwork. STEM education can be taught to students of all ability levels. Students of varying levels of ability can work together in teams to find solutions to problems, record data, write reports, give presentations, and etc. The end result is students who understand how to collaborate with others and thrive in a team-oriented environment.
Other advantages might include encouraging knowledge application. In STEM education, students are taught skills that they can use in the real world. This motivates them to learn, as the skills acquired can be utilized immediately, and in ways that positively impacts them and their loved ones. The ability to apply knowledge to new and novel tasks will bode well for them when they enter the workforce. Other than that, it encourages tech use. STEM learning teaches kids about the power of technology and innovation. So, when the students encounter new technologies, they will be prepared to face them, instead of being hesitant or fearful. This will give them the upper hand in the global scale as the world is becoming more tech-centered. More so, it teaches problem solving. STEM education teaches students on how to solve problems by using the critical thinking skills. By engaging in STEM learning experiences, students are able to examine problems and then create a plan to solve them. Last but not least, it encourages adaptation. To succeed in life, students must be able to apply what they have learned to various scenarios. STEM education teaches students on how to adapt the concepts that they have learned to various iterations of problems or issues. That is all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Patricia.
Hi, I'm Elvison.
Hi everyone, my name is Iskandar Haikal.
Hey everyone, I'm Kishantini Murthy, one of the alumni of the STEM Foundation program in University Malaysia Terengganu.
So the real question is, why do I choose to pursue in this STEM Foundation?
First of all, there are many interesting subjects that make this course even more fun-filled.
The courses are very unique than any other course in Malaysia, as
There is no foundation that offers all the components of STEM once in the program. Most foundation courses are specified to certain science fields, thus not really expose students to the real STEM learning.
I choose Asasi STEM because I'm
Foundation is a fun-filled course and I'm
very interested about the STEM subject.
which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Regarding the wow factor of this program,
In STEM Foundation program, they give a chance to a non-background students from high school to pursuing their study in degree in a STEM subject.
in addition, STEM Foundation also introduced the Hafazan program, basically to those Hafiz and Hafizah to further their Hafazan here during the foundation's time.
Here comes the best part of all, being in STEM Foundation program.
If you are graduated from Foundation STEM, you will obtain a golden ticket or a VIP ticket to further your study in degree program offered by UMT.
Since STEM Foundation is a closed system program,
Once you're
Assalamualaikum. Good morning. Boleh dengar saya tak?
Salam.
Assalamualaikum. Cik Rudy, dengar tak? Dengar.
I'm Dr. Azita Abdullah, the chairperson for this session. I'd like to welcome presenter and attendee of this third ICSTEM Conference 2021. Okay, so before we start our session, everyone turn on the camera for photo session. So if everyone turn on the camera.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Okay, I am Dr. Nur Hakimah Abdul Rahman from STEM Foundation Center UMT and as your chairperson for this session. Alright, so first of all, I would like to welcome the presenter and the attendees to the third ICSTEM Conference 2021. Okay, before we begin, I will very much appreciate if it all participant and attendee to kindly put their phone on a silent mode throughout the session. Alright, so before that, let's we check first the presenter for today. Okay, so if we see at participant list, okay, so we have Chin Yi, okay, Chin Yi, and then we have Mr. Chun Tak, okay, Mr. Chun Tak, and then we have Mrs. Eliza. Okay, Mrs. Eliza.
Ya, ada.
We have Faisal. Faisal siapa Faisal? Okay, ada nama Faisal kat sini tapi dalam nama participant tiada nama Faisal. Boleh tahu siapa Faisal eh? Oh, ya ke? Okay, it's okay. Oh, so ini adalah attendee lah Faizal. Alright, so we have Miss Hemarani, okay, and then we have Lawanya. Okay, Lawanya pun kita ada, Mrs. Lawanya. Right. Okay, Naim Nazira. Okay, and then Encik Rosnizam and Nur Zilawati Zainal. Right, okay. So, okay, let's start our session with the photography session first. All right. So, since everyone have in this session first, so hopefully everyone can on your camera. Okay, Miss Lavanya, can you on camera?
Yes. It's
All right.
taking some time to switch on the camera. Can you hear me?
Connection problem.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it's okay, Lavanya. And then Dr. Ching, can you on camera?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we have Siti Alifa. Siti Alifa, can you on camera?
So this one is for everyone's attention. The presentation will take about 15 minutes.
All right. Okay. So technical. Okay, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, thank you. Right. So, for everyone attention, the presentation will take about 15 minutes, where 12 minutes is allocated for presentation and another 3 minutes for Q&A session. For Q&A, raise your hand by clicking the button to ask question and the host will put you in queue. 10 minutes into the presentation, I will ring the bell once. 2 minutes after, I will ring the bell twice. Okay, and we will proceed to Q&A session. Okay, after 3 minutes of Q&A session, I will ring the bell once and we will proceed to the next presentation. Right, so any question from the all presenters? Yeah, okay.
Oh, very clear, thank you.
Okay, very clear. All right, so without further ado, I will call upon our first presenter, Miss Hemarani Anak Perempuan Munisami from SMPK. Oh, it's okay. Sorry. So we have a video from our director of STEM. Sound ada tapi gambar tak keluar. Suara ada, gambar tak ada. Okay, sorry, have some technical error.
Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. On behalf of UMT STEM Foundation as the organizer, a warm welcome and selamat datang to all of you. Heartfelt gratitude is extended to all distinguished speakers and participants for coming and participating in this ICSTEM 2021. I sincerely hope that all of our effort in sharing and exchanging ideas throughout this conference will create and enhance public interest as well as awareness on the importance of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics known as STEM. It is hoped that everyone enjoy this virtual conference under the new norm, and may you have a delightful and fruitful deliberation throughout the conference with us. With that note, I wish all of you happy conferencing and thank you.
Alright, okay, so this is Professor, Associate Professor Dr. Laili Sherus, our Director for STEM Foundation Center USA. Okay, so without further ado, I will call upon our first presenter, Ms. Hemarani Anak Perempuan Munisami from SMPK Vocational Indapura Johor with the title Implementation of Peer Coaching in Enhancing Special Needs Students' Performance in Hairstyling Through YouTube. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nurul Hakimah. Okay, a very good morning to everyone. Allow me to share my video today.
Okay.
Is it clear? Is it everyone can see my video?
Not yet. Not yet, Ms. Hemarani.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm sharing right now. Is it everyone can view my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so let me close. Okay, how about now? Is it anyone can see my screen first? Still not. Anyone can see my screen?
No.
It's already showing that I'm sharing right now.
Okay, right.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
It's okay.
Okay, I would like to play right it now. Okay, thank you.
It's still loading, Miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Still loading.
Still loading. Okay, according to my laptop, it's already play. So can I play once again? Oh, it's still loading. Well, how about the technical person able to play my video?
So I think in that case, our host will share your video.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Already? Okay, so Miss, can you stop sharing first?
I have to stop sharing. Okay, done.
Students' performance in hairstyling through YouTube. I am Hemarani Munsami from SMPK Vocational Indapura, Kulai, Johor. As a vocational teacher in hairstyling course under Malaysian Skills Certificate Level 2, which aim to teach the students the fundamental theories and skills into advanced and intensive hands-on practical. It was challenging to deliver the lesson in a traditional way that relies on method discussion and demonstration in conveying vocational information verbally and abstractly to the special needs students through one-way communication. The background of problem are students more passive, lack of engagement, and poor performance. This situation will be cause the students to feel bored, then exit cognitive stress due to lack of visual-based learning and make it difficult for them to follow instruction. After the observation, I initially jumped to the conclusion that I need to rethink my whole approach to increase deep engagement among students. So I came to introduce peer coaching in hairstyling through YouTube for my students. Why peer coaching and YouTube for special needs students? This is due to no studies conducted on the implementation of peer coaching by using YouTube in learning hairstyling among learning disability students in Malaysia. By considering the research problem and the research gap, this study aims to investigate the significant difference in hairstyling performance in the aspect of work process, outcome, and attitude after the implementation of peer coaching by using YouTube among learning disability students. Previous studies reported that most vocational special education schools teach skill based on hands-on and theoretical practice and not much in adoption in student-centered with technology-based learning. This situation causes difficulty among learning disability students to visualize to learn skills effectively. Learning disability is a neurological problem that causes difficulties in academic and non-academic activities caused by several different factors. Due to this, students with learning disability will lose confidence and avoid in learning new tasks, difficulties in understanding and following instruction. They are also facing short attention span and being easily distracted. According to Jabatan Kebajikan Malaysia, there are 203,765 people registered as a learning disabilities in 2020. Peer coaching is a systematic strategy by using an observation cycle related to the collaboration to encourage students-centered learning. It will increase confidence, enhance belief, developing networks, greater commitment, trying new things, and enhance motivation, and also encourage lifelong learning among students. YouTube is the second largest engine next to the Google. People are upload more than 100 hours video per minute into YouTube. Many researchers use YouTube proof that it helps students to be more productive, creative, and innovative. YouTube also shares understanding of meaningful knowledge between the students and the teachers and becomes revolution change in education. A pre-test and post-test were conducted involving single group of 9 learning disability students who are taking hair study course. Performance test was used to investigate work process, outcome, and attitude. All data was analyzed using Wilkerson tests. After went through several journals, finally, teacher came up with the structure of peer coaching. There are 3 selecting coach such as appropriate activities, managing behavior, and helping students compensate for their weakness. Firstly, selecting the coach based on observation and interview, then guiding coach step by step to build confidence. Use active exploration involving discussion and activities. Provide open-ended challenges requiring divergent thinking, especially in small group setting. Here, teacher will considering students' preferred learning styles, interests, and strengths. Secondly, encourage students to assume responsibilities. This is to enhance motivation in pair activities so that the less desirable task precedes a preferred task. Provide clear instruction and information on students' expectation. Teacher use environmental setting as cues for desired behavior. Guide students on how to coach other students by using YouTube. Thirdly, pair up the students whose strengths are complementary and find sources of information from YouTube that are appropriate for students. Then make the coach aware of individual strengths and weaknesses. Teacher as a facilitator encourages students to choose tasks that rely on strengths rather than magnify weaknesses. Teacher also provide an appropriate escape route where they can drop out with integrity. Results shown that students' performance by implementation of peer coaching by using YouTube reveal a significant difference in work process outcome and attitude. This implies that the students take more responsibility toward managing their own learning. Moreover, student involvement in the learning process in the form of a peer coaching creates a sense of internal responsibility towards their work. The implementation of peer coaching attempts to facilitate connection among students and their engagement in the skill to reduce students' stress to improve their learning. These results also shown that the students take responsibility toward developing their own sense of control over their learning achievement and encourages a sense of ownership of the process. Based on the results, this research suggests that peer coaching supports students in leadership development too. Peer coaching also has a structure for interactions which supports students when they work in teamwork to share progress towards their individual goals and engage in give and take feedback. By implementing peer coaching support with YouTube, student-centered learning became a natural process and facilitates opportunity to bridge the gap in skills and achievement. As a conclusion, the number of studies related to peer coaching through YouTube in the vocational education among learning disability students is still not adequately addressed in Malaysia. In addition, the effectiveness of peer coaching through YouTube can be studied to determine its strengths and weaknesses, especially in vocational education for learning disability students. It is also synergistic with the other 21st century skills, serving as an authentic goal of communication and enhancing critical thinking and creativity. The findings of this study could also serve as a guide to the Ministry of Education, to the Teacher Training Division to encourage all vocational teachers to implement peer coaching through YouTube in developing skills like problem-solving skills, making real-world connection, and using multiple representations among learning disability students. That's all from me. Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you, Ms. Hemarani. All right, so we open to the floor. Any question from the all? Or maybe can write the question at the chat box. Okay, so it seems like there are no questions for Ms. Hemarani. So thank you so much, Ms. Hemarani. All right, so so there are one question from Anthony. Okay, Ms. Hemarani, do facing any challenge and how you overcome?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anthony, for the questions. Actually, I face a lot of difficulty how I am going to deliver my teaching, especially the vocational skills, I'm going to implement the creativity among the learning disability students. Okay, after I collaborate with the UTM lecturers, then I found out that visual learning is one of the effective way to teach learning disability students. Apart from the teaching, I'm facing how to manage the behavior, how to manage them well behave in the classroom, apart from implementing skills among them. Apart from that, I also have to implementing the high order thinking among the students. So I have to, firstly, I have to collaborate with the experts, for example, experts in educational area in UTM professors. The second, I went to the saloons, industrial experts, those who are in a real world. So I have a collaboration with them. And then thirdly, I have a good relationship with the parents. So whatever the activity I take over among their children, they agreed with me. So whenever I apply, then the students understand why they have to learn that. I put the stress on the deep learning, why they must learn the hairstyling by doing the creative way. So it might be a lot of challenges, but I come up with a step by step to overcome it. And finally, I'm very proud that I'm managed to give the excellent method for my students for them to success in their research. That's all. Thank you for me.
All right, thank you, Ms. Haimarani. Another question from the floor? Okay,
How many
from
students I
Mr.
have?
Rosniza.
Okay, this is the previous batch that I have, 9 of them. 6 of them is a boys, 3 of them is a girl. And this year, the new batch, I got 10 students. 9 of them are boys, 1 of them are girl. Is girl. So I will be face a lot of challenge this year since the pandemic. That I have to implement that hairstyle, human hairstyle among the boys, especially. It'll be very tough. So I started ready for my students to watch a lot of a video relating to the hairstyling. So it will be give them the first introduction to the hair. So I hope it will be work out for me and for my new batch students. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Ms. Haimarani. Great presentation. All right. Okay. So attention to all presenters and attendees. Okay. In the chat room, okay, we have a link for attendance form. Okay. So hopefully everyone can fill out the form. Okay. All right. Okay. So we move to the next presenter. Okay. So please welcome Mr. Rosnizam bin Yusuf from Bahagian Beasiswa dan Pembiayaan Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia Cawangan Seri Berjaya with the title Implementing Flipped Classroom in Learning of Programming at Matriculation College from Lecturer's Perspective. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Can you hear me? You all hear me? Dengar?
I can hear, but not so
Clear.
loud. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Hello.
A little bit slow, Mr.
Slow.
Rosnizam.
Okay. I think I have to
Maybe
use.
Mr. Rosnizam without using headphone.
Okay. I try. Okay. Can you all hear me now?
Better, but still slow.
Okay. What about now? Let me.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Rosnizam.
Okay. Let me maximize my speaker. Okay. Okay. I'm going to share my slide. Okay. Okay. Hold on, yeah. I'm going to make it as a slideshow. Okay. All right. Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Rosnizam Yusof. Actually, I'm a PhD student in UKM, and today I'm going to representing my my research team to present our research. Okay, the title of our research today is implementing flipped classroom in learning of programming at Matriculation College from lecturer perspective. I'm not sure why my slide is not moving. Uh, it seems that I cannot move my slide. It is stuck here. What is wrong? Sorry, yeah. I cannot move my slide. Sorry, I can't move my slide.
Okay, can you move to the next slide?
Yeah, I'm trying to move, but it can't move. I'm not sure what's wrong. I think
Maybe Mr. Nusnizam can stop sharing and then share screen.
okay. All right. Let's stop. Okay. Stop sharing. Sorry, yeah. So,
So Mr. Nusnizam boleh stop kan?
tak, I tengah try sekarang ni, tapi tak. Okay, jap.
Alright, okay.
Okay, dah boleh gerak. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for the technical problem. I'm not sure what is wrong.
Alright, it's okay.
Okay. There are many difficulties in programming. Okay. And it is seen as programming is a very difficult subject with a high failure rate among students. There are three categories. The problem can be classified into three categories, which is synthetic knowledge, strategic knowledge, and conceptual knowledge. And most of the problem encountered are related to student level of prior knowledge. Okay, various strategies and approach are introduced to programming, including flipped classroom, which is what I'm going to present today. Okay, through FC or flipped classroom, a part of learning process will happen outside the classroom, and these situations will prepare students before class and will provide extra time in class for practical learning activities. A little bit history about flipped classroom. The idea of flipped classroom began in 1991 when Eric Mazu, a physics professor in Harvard, introduced this idea to his student. But however, the term flipped classroom was coined by Bergman and Sam. They are two chemistry teachers. There are three parts in FC, namely pre-class, in-class, and post-class. Okay. Pre-class activities aim to prepare students before entering the classroom, while in-class activities are for an active or individual collaborative strategic learning in class, and post-class activities are for the strengthening of new knowledge that they learn in the class. Okay, the purpose of study to obtain participants through focus group discussion, their view and ideas about the implementations of flipped classroom in learning programming at matriculation college. Okay, our focus is at matriculation colleges. Okay, the methodology. The study used focus group discussion technique or FGD involving 9 senior lecturers from several matriculation colleges in Malaysia. Okay, and we are using the framework or the step suggested by Stewart and Samsudani to run or to conduct our FGD session. Okay, there are formulations of research question, identifications of moderator, creating and testing of interview guide, recruiting the participant, conducting the discussion, analyze and interpretation of data, and writing the report. This is the step that we are follow in doing this FGD session. Okay. research questions. Okay. First RQ what are the suitable strategies to implement FC in programming? Okay, RQ2, how to ensure student involvement in pre-class and post-class activities of FC. And RQ3 is how to motivate students in learning programming. Okay, interview guide and pre-testing. We have structured an interview guide to facilitate the FGG session. And then we also conduct a pre-testing involving 5 participants to test the interview guide provided for the FGG session. The purpose of pre-testing is to identify weaknesses and improvement for the FGG session. And the interview guide has to be edited to fulfill the aims of FGD in the context of the study. Okay, coding and analysis. The discussions were recorded and transcribed and written back to participants for the member checking process. Okay, member checking is to allow participants to accept or deny the interpretation made by researcher in the transcript. After receiving the confirmation from the participant, we code the data in the transcript accordingly. There are 4 predefined code, which are strategy, tools, control, and motivation. We are using Atlas TI-8. The researcher have used deductive thematic analysis to analyze the data placed under the relevant code. And the thematic analysis method is aimed to identify, analyze, and interpret pattern or meaning from the data. There are total 110 passages from these 4 code. Strategy code comprised of 54 passages, tools 28 passages, control 11 passages, and motivation comprised of 17 passages. Okay, result and discussion. Okay, we divide it into 3, which is strategy in learning programming, and how to ensure participant in FC activities, especially for outclass activities, and how to motivate students to learn programming. Okay, strategies in learning programming using FC. Okay, the biggest challenge of using new learning strategy is student acceptance and willingness to adapt to such change. This is a quote from Gupta. Okay, the expert suggestion for the strategy that we should use when implementing the FC in matriculation is the implementation of the FC should be explained to students during the first meeting. Students should know clearly what they are going to go through in this FC, and they should know there are 3 parts in FC, which is pre-class, in-class, and post-class, which will involve various activities in these 3 parts. Students need to know the activities that will take place at each level and the role of students in these activities. Okay, and this is the direct quotation from the expert. Students should be given a clearer explanation about FC and expectations of their involvement for each stage of activities. Okay, next, lecturer also need to prepare a learning outcome that can be shared with students. So students will know what they should accomplish in every session. Okay, and participant also or expert also propose that questions or everyday problem in student daily life can be used in analysis and problem solving topics. Meaning that lecturer will use the familiar event or the familiar problem that student facing in their everyday life, such as using ATM machine, vending, or ordering food, or using online applications. Okay. In other topic before coding, okay, because programming consists of analysis, and then students have to code using programming language. But before we move to coding topics, students should not be introduced yet to any specific language. This is to avoid student anxiety towards programming, because most of novice students have a stigma or believe that programming is very difficult. So to avoid this, lecturer should not introduce programming language yet in early stage of learning. Okay. Lecturer should give more exercise to improve student problem solving skill without being tied to specific programming language yet. This is the direct quotations from the expert. Students are expected to gain initial knowledge through pre-class activities before entering the classroom, and they are going to have an extra time in the classroom because a part of learning is already done in pre-class. So in the class, it can be used for more strategic and high impact learning activities. Okay, and then how to ensure participation in FC activities. Okay, this is the main challenge of FC, especially to ensure student engagement in activities outside the classroom, because this activity will be done by student without the monitoring by lecturer or supervision. There are no supervision by lecturer. So lecturer have to come out with a plan or a strategy to ensure that their students participate in the activities outside the classroom. Okay, this is the few suggestions from expert. Okay, the use of social communications such as WhatsApp or Telegram can be used to ensure the monitor student engagement outside the classroom. This is by creating a group, class group, and then lecturer can keep reminding their student by using WhatsApp or Telegram. Okay, then a lecturer also can assign some of the pre-class and post-class activities as a group task. So this technique will indirectly require the involvement of each student in the activity. Okay, so all students have to engage in this activity outside the classroom because they are in a group. Okay, and learning management systems such as Moodle can also be used to conduct the activities outside the classroom, because students need to log into the system to perform the activities. Okay, so lecturer can know that their student is logging or not by referring to the record, and that can be used as evidence of student involving outside the classroom. Okay, student also can be given simple assignment that need to be submitted before class. Okay, does student need to complete the given assignment outside the class and submit it before entering the next class? This is one of the way to ensure that student participate in activities outside the classroom. Okay. How to motivate student to learn programming? Okay, motivation is the most crucial element in learning. Okay, intrinsic motivation result from factor within the student himself, such as self-interest in the subject. In comparison, extrinsic motivation result from external factor such as reward or punishment. Okay, intrinsic motivation is the best, although it will require strong motivation to develop in student. Okay, the most crucial component in determining the success of FC is the strong relationship between activities in the classroom and activities that occur outside the classroom. If students cannot determine the relationship between pre-class activity and in-class activity, they will not be motivated to engage in learning activity, especially outside the classroom. So lecturers have to come out with activities that have a continuation from the pre-class and then will continue in class. As an example, maybe that students have to watch a video, and then in the class they have to present what they have watched before class in the pre-class activities before. Okay, the carry out activities aim to build student skill from easy to challenging level gradually. In each activity, lecturer will only focus on one skill, so student will not experience a high cognitive load. Meaning that for every activity, we are targeting for only one skill. So student will not have a high cognitive load in learning. And lecturer also can give participation marks or extra marks to students who are actively involved in the activities. Lecturer also can praise or appreciate students who can complete their assignment even they are not entirely accurate. Okay. Students like it when we give praise to them in front of the friend. Okay, this is the quotations from one of the participants. Praise and appreciation like this can develop intrinsic motivations in student. Okay. Lecturer also can share with their student short videos about the importance of programming in our daily life. Hence, students will be more interested in programming. Lecturer have always have to motivate their student regularly. A highly motivated student will master programming easily compared to other students. Okay, the best motivation is the intrinsic motivation from within the student himself. But lecturer need to motivate student when given or have the opportunity. And intrinsic motivation also can change into intrinsic motivation for students over some time when they have developed the interest of programming. Intrinsic can change to intrinsic. Okay, conclusions. There are various advantages gained using FC in programming learning. Students will be better prepared before entering the classroom with pre-class activities. FC also provides space for active and collaborative learning, which is important to produce practical learning output. Lecturers can use some extra learning time in the classroom for higher impact learning because some of the lesson have been done in pre-class, such as reading the introduction, theory, which is that student can do it by themselves. And post-class activities will strengthen new understanding and knowledge in programming for students. And lecturer need to carefully plan the learning strategy through the implementations of FC to accelerate student engagement when learning programming. And lecturer should apply appropriate method to ensure that students perform FC activities, especially outside the classroom. Okay, thank you. That's it.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rosmizam, for the great presentation. All right. So maybe one question from the floor. Oh, there are no questions.
Assalamualaikum, Cik Rosniza. Thank you for the very nice presentation and quite very nice and very nice for the title of your presentation. There's only one question. What type of programming that you used to teach student? I mean, is that Java or what C++? Because you do not mention what type of programming.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Okay. Actually, this is a part of our research. Actually, the big research is developing a framework for flipped classroom for programming without tightening to any language. But in maturation context, we are using Java. But I'm not highlighting any language because we are hoping that this framework can be used in any programming language, such as what you mentioned before, C++, Java, Python, or any new language they are using now. Is it clear, sir?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So one question again.
Yeah.
How do you overcome the emotion from student? But because sometimes student when they learn about the programming, they have to very patient to solve the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The spirit or something like that from their mind. Because learn programming is not very easy, and the research that you have done, I mean, it's quite very good. And yeah, because this the flip mean bad word. I mean bad word. How you teach the student. So how you prepare the student to get ready to learn about the programming by using the flip implementation. Their emotion, their attitude, and so on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for the question. Okay, actually, this is, as I mentioned before, this is just a part of our big research. In our complete framework, there are there are many suggestions actually, especially in motivation part. Okay, to how to macam mana kita nak apa nama how to handle student emotions. I think this is a very crucial or critical factor because most of students that learn programming is a novice. They don't have experience usually. So that's why one of our suggestion is in our early parts of lesson, we do not introduce students to any specific language yet. We start with giving like as I mentioned before, like daily problem for them to solve. Actually, the most critical or the most crucial element in programming is analysis and problem solving. Okay, when students have the skill to do the analysis and problem solving, most of the time they were not having any problem in using any programming language. But that is the one of the lack of in our teaching. Most of the time we are not focusing on the skill to analyze and to solve the problem. We are more focusing on the syntax, which is on the language itself. That is one of the problem, or that is one of the area that should be think by lecturer on how to make sure that students really have a good skill in problem solving, in analyzing before introducing them to coding. Because usually at coding, student will have a difficult experience. Okay, and most of the time end up they will just copy their friend, or they can, as for now it's easy to get the code from the internet, and end up they don't really learn anything they don't get the skill from this subject. So that is one of the area that we are trying to suggest in our big framework, but not in this paper lah, because we have a limited area of coverage in this presentation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Rosnizan.
Okay.
Very nice presentation, and
thank you.
I really interested with your research.
Sure.
Because I also do programming.
Okay.
Also in my PhD.
Okay.
Good, very nice.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Rosmiza. Right, so now let's call upon our third presenter, Mrs. Nur Zilawati binti Zainal Abidin from Bahagian Beasiswa and Pembiayaan Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, Cawangan Cyberjaya, with the title A Conceptual Framework for Design and Development of Design Thinking STEM Pedagogical Model. Please welcome. So, Mr. Rosnizam, you can stop sharing first.
Kat mana nak stop sharing? Tak cuba function. Sebab I tak bersengang dengan Webex ni. Stop sharing. Oh, okay. Alright, okay. Sorry.
It's not easy to teach.
Okay, Mrs. Nur Zilawati, are you there? All right, okay, so Mrs. Nur Zilawati, so for slide for Mrs. Nur Zilawati, host will share. Yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Nozilawati Zainal Abidin, a PhD student from School of Education, University Utara Malaysia. Today, on behalf of my team, Dr. Farah Muhammad Zain and Dr. Abdul Hamid Bustami Noor, I'm going to present our educational research entitled A Conceptual Framework for Design and Development of Design Thinking STEM Pedagogical Model. For a start, my presentation outline will be divided into 5 main sections. First is the introduction, second is the background of the study, third is the literature review, fourth is the conceptual framework, and finally the discussion and conclusion. It is clear that jobs in the data-driven economy require analytical skills, uniquely human skills such as persuasion and communication are not usually supplied in education. However, they have gained increased importance in the industry. The Future of Job Report, World Economic Forum 2020 identify analytical thinking and innovation, active learning, complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity as the top 5 skills for 2025. Today, any data scientist, manager, marketer, or any other professional that use data to solve problems require these skills to succeed. In education, teachers as the backbone of the school are being prepared to face this transformation. Teachers today should be attentive to the development and demands in the field of technology in Education 4.0. Students cannot develop the skill if the teachers do not have sufficient knowledge in imparting the skill to them. It is important for the student to master the skill that cannot be replaced with technology. Hence, teachers need to change their teaching methods and approach according to the 21st century teaching and learning framework that adapt to market needs. Teachers must build their own competency. For that, they could develop student creative and innovative skills in technology. In line with UNESCO's goal of enhancing quality and innovation through various enhancements to STEM education, the Malaysian Ministry of Education also placed a premium on information enhancement through STEM education and the Malaysia Education Blueprint (PPPM) 2013 until 2025. The Malaysian education system in many ways is a launchpad for tomorrow's workforce, yet today's students require a whole set of 21st century skills to be future ready for the fourth industrial revolution. According to Brown 2009, design thinking is a thought process that brings design principles, approach, methods, and tools to problem solving. Referring to Lockwood 2009, it can also be defined as a human-centered innovation process that emphasizes on observation, collaboration, fast learning, visualization of ideas, rapid concept prototyping, and concurrent business analysis. Design thinking benefits as an approach to innovation and problem solving have been described in the literature. The fact it can be used effectively by inexperienced team and designers and non-designers alike are two of the main reasons for its popularity as an innovative approach. Design thinking is a holistic approach to acquiring and applying knowledge in real situations. It involves 5 stages: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Achieving the aim of developing 21st century skills and capabilities, namely creative thinking, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration, requires the teachers to adopt a suitable pedagogy to meet student unique needs in the class. This study focuses on harnessing the potential benefits and features of a design thinking approach to enhance student problem solving and creative skills. Furthermore, design thinking as a new learning experience can introduce students to a new learning concept and prepare them for the post-high school stage of learning. Design thinking relates to design theory, which is a philosophy that clarifies concepts and criticizes current models and practice. However, this theory is widely known in industrial setting and not in the education field. In education, design thinking is a teaching approach or environment that can be distinguished from conventional learning approach for acquiring knowledge, which goes beyond acquiring knowledge to the implementation and application of knowledge in the real situation. Design thinking is not only applicable to a single discipline, but to multidisciplinary context that include engineering, social science, medicine, education, and so forth. In education, design thinking is considered to be a connective process that includes creation, experimentation, feedback, and redesign, or whatever the field of the subject comprises. The literature review includes constructivism theory, connectivism theory, design and development research, nominal group technique, and fuzzy-duffy method. Constructivism is the theory that says students construct their own knowledge rather than just passively take in information. As students experience the world and reflect upon those experiences, they build their own representation and incorporate new information into their pre-existing knowledge. In this study, the component is supported by constructivism theory because first, students learn best when engaged in learning experience rather passively receiving information. Second, learning is inherently a social process because it is embedded with a social context as students and teachers work together to build knowledge. Third, because knowledge cannot be directly imparted to students, the goal of teaching is to provide experience that facilitate the construction of knowledge. Connectivism approach of Seaman, Donis, and Cormier focus on individual participants in learning, networking, and information flow between the nodes of network, resulting in form of knowledge. Connectivism is a relatively new learning theory that suggests students should combine thought, theories, and general information in a useful manner. It accepts that technology is a major part of the learning process and that our constant connectedness gives us opportunity to make choices about our learning. It is also promote group collaboration and discussion, allowing for different viewpoints and perspectives when it comes to decision making, problem solving, and making sense of information. In this study, the component of design thinking is supported by connectivism theory because it requires the student to solve the problem and think creatively, exactly what is explained in connectivism theory. Design and development research provide an alternative to conduct rigorous and systematic design research based on solid theoretical foundation. There are 6 major components to the design and development knowledge phase. These 6 phases concentrate on the many aspects of the design and development process. In this study, the researcher will design and develop design thinking STEM pedagogical model following the 3 phases as stated in DDR, phase 1 need analysis, phase 2 design and development, and phase 3 evaluation. NGT is a structured method of group decision making which allows a rich generation of original ideas, balanced participants of all members of the group, and rank order set of discussion based on voting method. NGT allows for the generation of ideas and thought from group participants through the posing of a single question while maintaining anonymity throughout. In this study, NGT is employed to obtain the consensus from the expert upon the component and element of design thinking STEM pedagogical model during the design and development phase. FTM is the combination between the fuzzy set theory and the Delphi technique. 2 important aspects in FTM are triangular fuzzy number and defuzzification process. FTM is able to act as measuring method in decision making as it is very flexible to be applied in researchers. FDM is used to obtain the consensus or effort which act as a respondent based on the use of quantitative method. Figure 1 shows the conceptual framework of this study. Design thinking STEM pedagogical model will be designed and developed based on two additional theories, which are constructivism theory and connectivism theory. This study will employ design and development research as the research approach. The study is divided into three phases, which are phase 1, need analysis, phase 2, design and development, and phase 3, evaluation. Literature review have been made on constructivism theory, connectivism theory, DDR, NGT, and FDM. To design and develop the pedagogical model, the researcher had designed a conceptual framework. Five main components are empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Hence, the result of this study is a product entitled Design Thinking STEM Pedagogical Model as a practical guide for teachers in terms of training and utilizing design in students and practicing the skills necessary for 21st century through the process of learning and facilitation. That's all. Our special thanks go to Ministry of Education Malaysia for sponsoring our conference registration fee, and we also would like to express gratitude to University Utara Malaysia. Finally, we would like to express our appreciation to all the dedicated community members of ICSTEM 2021. That's all. Thank you.
Alright, okay, so I'm here with custom account, right? Thank you to Mrs. Dawati. So any question from the floor? So maybe you can write the question on the chat box. Okay, so we have a question from Miss Lawanya. Yes, Miss Lawanya, anyone else having? Oh, ingatkan ada soalan.
I'm sorry, I heard my name, but I can't hear very clearly. Is it my time to present right now?
Not yet, not yet.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Mute tak boleh. Cuba unmute.
Okay, so maybe someone can speak something?
Testing.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Eh? Dia clear tadi.
Sounds better now.
Okay, clear. I can listen to it very clear.
All right. So sorry for technical error. Okay, a little bit technical error. All right, so let's call upon our next presenter. Okay, our next presenter is Mr.
Can you explain a bit NGT process? Ada soalan apa?
Yeah.
Tengok Lucah.
Right. Okay. So, Mrs. Nur Silawati. Okay, there are a question from Mr. Rosnizam. Can you explain a bit about NGT process in your study? Please unmute, Mrs. Nur Silawati. Please unmute. We cannot hear anything. Puan Nur Silawati masih lagi tak dengar apa-apa.
Thank you for the question. Can you hear me?
I think maybe audio problem on the laptop. Madam Nur Silawati. So yeah, kita tak boleh dengar apa-apa pun apa yang Puan cakap. So tak boleh nak menjawab beberapa soalan audiens ni. Right, so maybe Madam, you can answer on the chat board, yeah? Okay, so let's move to the next presenter. Okay, our next presenter is Mr. Chan Chuntak, okay, from University of Malaya, with the title Measurement Model and Adaptation of Self-Efficiency and Metacognitive Awareness Towards Mathematics Reasoning among University Students. So please welcome.
Okay, good morning all. Can see the videos.
Ada ni ICSTEM. Dah habis tadi?
Ada.
Kata yang ada meeting apa? Pusat.
Okay, Miss Zurina, please unmute. Please mute.
Apa?
Apa? Adaptations of awareness.
Oh, yang pusat bahasa.
My name is Chan Chuntak from University of Malaya.
Ya, nak salah.
Change blueprints 2013 to 2025 mentioned that pupils are able to mathematical using formula, basic algorithms, convention, procedures. Besides, students seems unable to use
Okay, so Mr. Okay, you can proceed.
Dapat nampak video?
Ya, nampak.
Dapat Okay, sorry East Malaysia Education Blueprints 2013 to 2025 also state that student critical thinking and reasoning skills are developed so that they can predict problems, analyze information, and approach issues logically, critically, actively, and deductively in order to find the best solutions. Therefore, Malaysia Education's blueprints emphasize the elements of cognitive process and students' reasoning skills in their learning. In the research of Just and Well 2005 state that mathematical is defined as the process of drawing conclusions based on stated evidence or assumptions assumptions. Meanwhile, in the case Hussein's, Kama, Ibrahim, Udin's, and Alim mentions when it comes to assessing logically thinking and problem-solving abilities, the majority of students still require study time to solve problems. Next is problem statement of the study. In the research Tian Fang Li 2008 find out students involved in investigating, representing, making conjectures, giving explanations, and making mathematical justifications are weak in mathematical reasoning learning. Most of previous study are focused high school students. For example, Hassan and Rahman 2017, Singh Hun Nazir et al. 2020 find out high school students have a poor mathematical reasoning skills. Next, in the research Royce 2018 and Young and 2018 find out students' cognitive strategy while solving mathematical problems have difference by the physics in metacognitive knowledge and cognitive relations. Like that, in the research Big Black and Hooper 2017 find out students' learning and limitations in mathematical reasoning activity such as exploring, representing, conjecturing, explaining, and justifying mathematical concepts. Next, Sai Rahman 2017 and Singh Nazir et al. 2020. They also find out mathematical reasoning skills in high school are at the low levels. Next, in research of Johnny et al. 2017, mentioned that MOE emphasized the elements of learning skills in the declines in teams' malicious performance in 2011. In the research Mas, Gaga, Ariza, and Gross 2019 find out one of the most important in solving mathematical problems is students' ability to manage their cognitive process. Next, Ostrix 2017 find out due to the students' lack understanding of how the works of mathematics, it will be difficult to effectively monitor the strategy applied. Besides that, in the research of Hassan and Rahman 2017 suggests that there are still local studies to identify the variable of cognitive awareness and mathematical reasoning. Next, there are objectives in this study. First, identify the validity and exploratory factor analysis between the dimensions of cognitive awareness and mathematical reasoning of university students. The second one is to identify the measurements of further modeling metacognitive awareness toward mathematical reasoning of university students. Next research question of this study. First research is there the validity and exploratory factor analysis accepts better dimensions of metacognitive awareness, the mathematical reasoning of university students? The second research is what demands of second order modeling metacognitive awareness towards mathematical reasoning of university students. Next is methodology of study. Paradigm of this study is quantitative. Research design is correlation design. In this study, we're using the survey method which involves two instruments. One instrument is mathematical reasoning instrument which adapted from the Kelvin 2002, And another one is questions and cognitive awareness, which adapt from Rahman, Yasin, Salamuddin, Surat 2014. Both instruments sending to the Forsen field of aspects to making reliability of instruments. After researchers undergo the pilot study, the data were analyzed by UFA and CFA. Before that, researchers were also doing correlations analysis between variables with the EM approaches by using AMOS SPSS. Now, research sample involved 184 persons, which is undergraduate students from Faculty of Education semester 1 to 2 in the Klang Valley. Next, the sample selection is random sampling technique. Next is finding analysis. Here the result of exploratory factor analysis. We can see that factor loading of each item is greater than 0.5. Meanwhile, Chrombat alpha for each lantern is greater than 0.7, which is fulfill the requirement from the HAIR 2006. Next, this is the second order modeling of metacognitive awareness, where researchers put the orders in the AMOS SPSS. The researcher figure out the RMCA in this study is 0.07. The last second order modeling of metacognitive awareness toward thematic reasonings. When the researcher put the all data in the AMOS, find out RCA in these models is 0.064, which is less than 0.08, which means they are fulfilled requirements from 2006. My presentations. Thanks for giving the chance to presenting. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Mr. Chan Chunta. All right, so any question from the floor?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chan Chunta, can I ask one question? Okay, regarding
Okay.
to your slide,
Yes.
modeling of what we call it.
Yeah.
Can you show back your slide?
Okay, can. Wait a minute. Okay. I share the slide. Okay, is this this one? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chunta, can you show back your slide? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, this
Yeah.
one, model of metacognitive awareness, right?
Yeah,
So what
yes.
the software that used to find this model?
Oh, using the AMOS SPSS.
Yeah.
I using the AMOS SPSS.
Oh,
Yeah.
SPSS.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, all right. Okay. So it's
Okay.
okay. That's all my question.
Thank you, doctor.
All right. Okay, another question from the floor. Okay, so in that case, so thank you so much, Mr. Chan Chunta, for your nice presentation. Okay, so next we move to the next presenter. Please welcome Mrs. Lawanya Silwarajan from University Putra Malaysia with the title Implementation of Universal Design for learning in secondary STEM education, a systematic literature review. Please welcome.
Just want to check if my audio is okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
very clear.
All right. Thank you so much. And now sharing my slides. Can you see my slides?
Yeah, can.
Okay. All right. So if you can see and you can hear me, I will begin. All right.
Yeah, please proceed. Okay.
Okay. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. This quotation is popularly attributed to Albert Einstein, although there's no apparent evidence that he actually said it. However, I've decided to start my presentation today with this quotation because it neatly expresses the sentiments and the themes of my study and presentation. So, let me begin. A very good morning to everyone. My name is Lavanya Silvarajan from the Faculty of Educational Studies, University Putra Malaysia. And my topic for today is implementation of universal design for learning in secondary STEM education. Let me begin by introducing the current issues with STEM education. According to the World Economic Forum, in just 4 years, 50% of jobs will require STEM background. But despite this, sadly, enrollment rates in STEM field continue to decline. And to add salt to wound, student performance in PISA is relatively low. There's a decline in numbers of students pursuing tertiary STEM education worldwide and a decline in number of students pursuing STEM careers globally. A lot of the research done on these current issues in STEM education has shown that poor teaching approaches have been attributed to these issues. So naturally, a lot of the research in the past decade have focused on coming up or developing an effective teaching approach to overcome these issues. So in the last decade, many 21st century learning interventions were researched for STEM education. But sadly, the one-size-fits-all teaching approach is still the primary teaching approach used in many classrooms worldwide. So this is where the educator or the teacher uses the same instruction for the same lesson content at the same pace and even uses the same assessment, although fully aware that his or her classroom is made of diverse students. So naturally, students with different interests, with different strengths, with different motivation, with different weaknesses, they lose motivation and interest in STEM subjects. A lot of this research failed to acknowledge the fact that no two students are alike in a classroom. Carol Tomlinson, a very popular American educator, once said this. She said, walk into any general education classroom today and you will see seated next to each other in a single classroom are students with identified learning problems, highly advanced learners, students of different cultures or economic backgrounds, male or female students, motivated or unmotivated students, students of varying interests, and students with diverse preference of learning models. Now, knowing how diverse students are in a classroom, how can educators use the one-size-fits-all teaching approach and expect the same outcomes or response from every student in the classroom? So this brings us to the million-dollar question for today. How do we overcome issues in STEM education? The present study suggests that we should start by accommodating and engaging diverse learners with diverse abilities and needs in a classroom. So to do this, STEM education must be more inclusive. Previous studies have stated that student performance significantly improved through inclusive teaching approach because inclusive teaching approach is flexible, accessible to all learners, it is student-centered, it's engaging, and it meets the needs of all students most importantly. So in our present study, we are proposing the universal design for learning as an inclusive teaching approach to hopefully overcome or improve the current issues with STEM education that we are facing. So why did we choose universal design for learning, or UDL for short? Previous studies have shown that UDL is a framework that incorporates inclusivity, accessibility, and flexibility in education for diverse learners. Previous studies have also stated that UDL could potentially enhance student engagement, interest, and performance in STEM education, as well as meet diverse students' learning abilities and needs. You see, the UDL is a framework that functions on three principles. The principles are multiple means of representation, multiple means of engagement, and multiple means of expression. Through these three principles, UDL is said to have the potential to be a positive, inclusive teaching approach. Now, although UDL has all this potential, and many research in the past has theoretically stated that UDL is a positive, inclusive teaching approach, surprisingly, UDL is not widely implemented in secondary STEM education. Our findings show that there are insufficient systematic literature reviews, SLR, on the implementation of UDL, specifically in secondary STEM education. Our study shows that the existing reported SLR either focus on non-STEM subjects like literature, language, arts, or they focus on various other learning levels like elementary level, primary level, or post-secondary level. The one systematic literature review that we found in our search that beautifully articulated implementation of UDL in STEM education only focused on post-secondary level. So clearly, we have identified a gap here. So the present study that I'm presenting today is a systematic literature review that aims to fill the gap in relation to implementation of UDL, specifically in secondary STEM education. So to answer or to reach the aim of the research, we came up with two research questions. The first, we want to see what UDL principles were incorporated from the three that I mentioned earlier, and how were they incorporated into the intervention. And secondly, we want to evaluate the outcomes and how effective is UDL when it is implemented in secondary STEM education. To answer these two questions, we employed the PRISMA review technique, as you can see in figure 1 here. Through the PRISMA review technique, we identified our potential keywords. We set the criteria based on inclusion and exclusion factors. We used 4 databases, Scopus, EBSCOhost, ProQuest, and Taylor and Francis for our search. And again, another surprising factor that we found is that from the 4 databases that we searched, only 4 empirical studies were chosen to fit our criteria for the present systematic literature review. These are the 4 chosen articles based on the author and the year, the reference numbers that we are using in the presentation today, and the title. And now, let's move on to the most interesting part, the results and the discussion. So, we will start by answering the first research question. Okay, so first we attempted to deduce which of the 3 UDL principles were incorporated and how did the authors incorporate it into the interventions. Again, another surprising finding, not all studies incorporated all 3 of the primary principles. In fact, only 2 studies incorporated all 3 principles simultaneously. 1 study incorporated just 2 principles and only one of the UDL principle. We found that there were certain common themes amongst the 4 studies that we chose. The first common theme is variety. We found that the authors implemented variety to represent the multiple means characteristics of the UDL principle. Second, the second theme was that all 4 articles implemented choice as their second theme. So for example, what the authors did with the intervention was that they presented the students with a list of like a buffet of variety of activities through which the students can choose how they want to complete the lesson content. So the students had a choice to pick based on their strengths, their weaknesses, their interests, and their motivation. The types of activities that were given in the buffet of activities for the students were mostly technology-based or active learning activities. We found that these common themes were in line with previous studies that state inclusive education provides students with choice and variety. We also found previous studies that state successful integration of digital technology tools can positively influence STEM education. And STEM education should emphasize on active learning activities. While all of these were things that worked in the intervention, there were still some gaps with the 4 chosen articles. The 4 chosen articles did not indicate which of the activities students preferred more. And most importantly, the biggest gap that we found was that these studies did not use all 3 principles simultaneously. So that was one of the biggest gaps. So in the present study, we suggest that there needs to be a balance of technology and active learning activities aligned to the 3 UDL principles. And most importantly, all 3 of the core principles should be incorporated simultaneously into a single lesson. Only then we can see how effective UDL is as an inclusive teaching approach. And now, let's answer our second research question. What are some of the benefits that were found by the 4 articles in the implementation of UDL in secondary STEM education? Our results found that 3 of the studies reported increased students' engagement, improved positive attitudes, and an increase in interest and motivation. So again, we found common themes in the benefits in terms of an improvement in student attitude of students in the lesson, increased engagement, increased interest, and increased motivation when UDL was implemented in the intervention. These common themes were in line with previous studies that reported similar results in post-secondary setting and non-STEM subjects where UDL was part of the intervention. So previous studies also report that UDL has potential to meet the academic needs of all students within a classroom, even though they are very diverse. Now, although UDL is said to have all these benefits in the intervention, there were still gaps that we found. Our present study found gaps in terms of the fact that there was no discussion on student performance as to how the students did before and after the intervention of UDL. And all 4 studies did not indicate a true experimental rigorous design to analyze the efficacy of UDL. So we suggest that there needs to be a true experimental design to measure the efficacy of UDL, and we should not just measure the interest, motivation, and engagement of students, but we should also measure the performance of students before and after the intervention of UDL. So, in conclusion, our systematic literature review found that UDL indeed has the potential to counteract one-size-fits-all education approach. But the research that we found, a lot of the findings that we found were very theoretical, which is why we only found 4 empirical articles for the systematic literature review. All the articles that we found in the databases were very theoretical. So the research on implementation of UDL in secondary STEM education is still in nascent stage. Now, UDL lacks empirical research base. As I mentioned, everything was very much theoretical. So we suggest on developing a more extensive empirical research base to collect evidence on UDL implementation across secondary STEM education. This is much needed. Only then the effectiveness of UDL implementation in improving outcomes for secondary STEM education can be fully justified. Now, through this systematic literature review, I personally believe that UDL could be the future of education. These are the references that I've used in my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Lawanya.
Yes.
Very energetic presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so we open to the floor. Any question?
Good morning, Ms. Maraya.
Good morning.
I have a question about the UDL. Can you give me one example for UDL? What example? I mean,
Okay. Like what the authors did with UDL, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let me share and just explain based on that. Hold on, yeah. Okay, it's taking a long time. I'll explain while I go. So, for example, one of the studies were that incorporated all three of the principles, right? They incorporated it in a way where students come into class and they get to pick how they want to study that particular topic. So, let's say for biology, we are teaching a topic on osmosis. When students come in, the teacher says, okay, today we are learning about osmosis, and these are the ways in which you can learn osmosis. So first, you could access a video, or if you want, you could watch a simulation video, or you could read textbook page this, blah, blah, blah. Or you could fill in the blanks for this and find out the answers. Or you could do a hands-on activity to see the experiment based on osmosis. So the teacher provided at least 4 different options of how student could learn that particular topic. So the student, okay, for example, a student who's very kinesthetic in learning, who likes to do things with their hands, they could choose the experiment. So they could go to the back of the class. All of the students who want to learn based on experiment, they would conduct the experiment on their own. On the other side, a student who's more quiet and likes to read could read page 18 of the textbook to understand osmosis. And on another side, students could watch a video or a video simulation on osmosis to understand. Once they have accessed the lesson content, the next step is to evaluate how students understand what they have learned. So what they do is, again, the teacher provides the options. So after giving them about half an hour to access the lesson content, they go into the next step, and the teacher says, okay, I want to find out how much you have learned about this topic. So you have, again, 4 options to show me how you have learned the topic. First, you could fill in the blanks. Or number 2, you could draw me a model. Or number 3, you could make me a mind map. Or number 4, you could just orally explain to me what you have learned today for osmosis. So students who want to discuss, who are not so shy, they would pick the oral presentation. Students who are shyer, they could draw a mind map and show the teacher what is done. So basically, the idea of UDL is to give student choices and to give variety in the lesson. So students can pick based on their interests and their weaknesses and their strengths. That is basically how UDL is done, and the examples given in the 4 articles that I picked for my systematic literature review.
Yeah, thank you. Very
Thank you
nice.
so much.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another question in the chat box. How UDL can implementing to learning disability students? This is a very interesting question because UDL started for learning disability students, for SEN students. When UDL started in America about 12 years ago, UDL was actually started for SEN students, which means students with learning disabilities. It started as that, and then when it progressed, it became more for students in a general classroom, because they found that even students in a general classroom have either identified learning abilities or disabilities. Sometimes we have highly advanced learners. Sometimes we have students who simply don't want to learn by reading. So we found that there were diverse learners in a general education classroom as well. Yeah. So right now, around the world, a lot of UDL is being used for special education, special needs students. But what is happening is a lot of educators and researchers are trying to bring it into general education classroom. So a normal classroom that you would walk into any Malaysian schools. Yeah, that's the idea. I hope I answered your question, Miss Hema.
Miss Lavaya. Okay, I'm interested with you.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lawanya. So we have another question.
Okay.
Okay.
Miss Lavaya.
On the chat room.
I'm interested with your SLR. Okay, but how come you only get 4 articles in your SLR? Is it because of lack of research in your area?
Sorry, Mr. Rosnizam, I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm interested with your SLR, but from what I heard, you only have 4 articles in your SLR.
Yes.
Okay, why you only got 4 articles? Is it because of lack of research in your area, in that area?
No, we search for different databases, and all the databases are high impact factor databases. But what we found is based on our criteria, when we did our initial research, right, we found hundreds of articles to fit our keywords. But our inclusion factor is that it must be an empirical research, meaning it must be an experimental, they must have an experimental research method. So because of that, we had to, eliminate a lot of the theoretical articles. So based on our inclusion factor is that it has to be 2017 and above, that is one, and it has to be an empirical article. So that is the reason why only 4. And also the inclusion factor, we wanted to see only in secondary level. So though we had so many articles from primary, elementary, and even post-secondary setting. But for secondary, we only found 4. Yeah, that is the reason why, because of the inclusion factors.
Okay, thank you. Clear.
Is someone saying something? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Mr. Rosnizam, another question?
No.
Okay.
Lawaya, I just want to ask you one opinion. Is
Yes.
that if I say that UDL can make student more innovative? I mean,
yes,
you give the chance for the student to deliver what they understood, what they learned. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. The reason how I came to researching UDL is because I am a teacher for 10 years now, and I've been teaching for 8 years in a school where we, we only pick students based on entrance exam. So in my previous school for 8 years, students have to come in and sit for an entrance exam, and only the best students can enter that school. So I used to work in Wesley Methodist School, and a lot of my students are highly advanced learners. Then after 8 years, I moved to another school, and in this school, any student can enter this school. So I had a more diverse class, which was such a big difference. I also have SEN students, mildly autistic students in my classroom as well, which is where I started to look more into inclusive education. And when I found about inclusive education, UDL was really interesting because of how it tries to, engage students of a lot of diversity. Even normal learning students, they also have interest. They can easily lose motivation in a day. So how do we, in each day, try to engage them? We give them variety. Like going to a buffet. So basically, if you go to a buffet, you get so interested when you look at a lot of food right in front of you. So this is what teachers are doing in UDL. They give students a buffet of activities to choose from. Yeah. So that is the best way I can explain UDL, like going to a buffet. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Lawanya, for your great presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now we move to the next presenter. Okay, next presenter is Mr. Muhammad Khairul Azmi bin Ahmad from University Putra Malaysia with the title Development and Design of Mobile Application for Mobile Inquiry Based Learning. Please welcome Mr. Khairul.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Dr. Hakimah, can you help me? I mean, which button should I share content, right?
Yeah, share content, click share content, and then automatically optimize for motion and video.
Okay. Optimize for motion and motion and video. Okay.
And then share.
I pick the file and share, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully you are all of you are looking to my screen.
Yeah.
And I hope the sound is good for today. May I
Sound
start?
is okay. Okay. So please.
Do you want to know the process of developing a mobile application using any model? Let's find out together. Assalamualaikum and a good day to all the viewers. Now, I, Muhammad Khairul Azmi, representing my team members, Dr. Nurzatushima binti Kamarudin, will explain about a study entitled Development and Design of Mobile Application for Mobile Inquiry-Based Learning. The rapid development in technology has improved our life and the process of learning, specifically in science learning. As for the consequences, science learning process has expanded beyond the physical classroom and laboratory walls. The concept of inquiry-based learning is not new, but it has been promoted actively in science learning in recent years because of its potential to lead to the understanding, competencies, and attitude that are needed by students in increasingly technology-based societies. Mobile devices provide students with many advantages in several ways, such as portability, social connectivity, and information accessibility. With the rise of wireless network, these advantages of mobile technology have been integrated into inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is a pedagogical approach in which students begin with a question, followed by investigating the solution, reflecting and communicating, finding, and creating new knowledge based on the collective evidence. Inquiry-based learning is a pedagogical approach in which students begin with a question, followed by investigating the solution, reflecting and communicating findings, and creating new knowledge based on the collected evidence. Mobile learning is the process of learning facilitated by handheld technologies such as smartphones, laptops, and tablet devices. Mobile inquiry-based learning, which is based on and transformed from inquiry-based learning, aim to utilize handheld technologies to facilitate inquiry process, exchange information, and motivate students in building the knowledge. Despite the benefits, there are challenges in executing mobile inquiry-based learning. Even though science teachers consider inquiry-based learning as an important instructional approach, they implement it only occasionally in their own classes. As a reason for this, they name an external factor like lacking resources, which is small number of developed mobile application on science learning, specifically infusing inquiry-based learning. Therefore, this study focuses on the process and guidelines in developing a mobile application. To develop any learning module, we must decide the suitable instructional design model. One of the choices that we have is the AD model. The diagram shows an overall view of the AD model. This model was developed by Rosette in 1987. It consists of 5 phases, which are analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. In this study, this model had been chosen because it is a generic model for technology-based education. The first phase, analysis, the need of developing a learning module was identified. In this study, the learning module was represented in the form of a mobile application. The second phase, design, an outline of the teaching and learning process was created. In this study, the chosen instructional model of science learning was 5E inquiry-based learning model. The third phase, development. The design was put into the action. The chosen platform was MIT App Inventor 2, a web-based tool. The fourth phase, implementation. The time of student interacted with the learning module in which the knowledge contained in the course material was absorbed by the student. The fifth phase, evaluation. This phase occurred throughout the process of mobile applications development to check the performance of every action or step taken in the previous phases. Based on the McCaleb model, which was developed in 1987, there are 5 steps that should be taken in this phase. Step 1, identification of users and use. The user of the mobile application is 4-semester program matriculation students. The mobile application was used during the practical session of physics subject. Step 2, description of target population and service environment. Demographic information about the students, such as previous examination physics and mathematics result, and mobile technology literacy. Learning objective had been set based on the curriculum specification. Step 3, need identification. An interview was conducted with 3 senior physics matriculation lecturers who are expert in the field since their teaching experience exceeds 20 years. 3 teams had been formed from the thematic analysis, such as learning physics in practical session issues, teaching strategy, and desired improvement. Step 4, need assessment. Since the issues and respectively suggested solution had been identified, needs were evaluated in terms of design capability in the next phase. Step 5, communication. The result in the need identification must be communicated and considered in the mobile application's design and development process. Based on all the information which had been collected in analysis phase, guided the design phase which involved the sketching process. The purpose of this phase was to visualize the detailed look of the mobile application to ensure the process of developing it more smooth in the following phase. The visualization process was divided into 2 parts. First, the design of the mobile application. It involving first flowchart. The prototype was initiated by the login screen. After login, the main menu appeared and students could choose the button corresponding to the experiment for the task. In this study, hierarchy navigation was chosen since students were able to return to the main menu after completed the task. Second, interface. Text layout based on the zigzag of eye movement of the students. Third, storyboard. Detailed description for the content of media in each screen. The concept of storyboard was sketched on a paper to ensure there was no repetition of content from one display to another. Second part, the design of delivering the content. A more typical inquiry cycle proposed by Bybee at 2006 was the 5E model, namely engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. Using the information gathered in the analysis and design phase, the prototype of the mobile application was created using MIT App Inventor 2 software. The well-planned instructional model and the learning material such as text, diagram, simulation, videos, and instructions were written into the software. All the user interface elements in the display were dragged from the palette and then dropped on the viewer. A suitable event handlers were added in the block editor. The created mobile application during development was introduced to the student during the pilot study. This process was done to ensure all features in the mobile application were functioning well and smooth. 3 aspects that was considered in the phase. First, training. The teacher who was involved in the study was trained before he entered the laboratory. The teacher must be able to deliver the content using the mobile application. Second, installation. The .apk file was delivered using a Telegram group. The students only had to double-click the file and install it in their smartphone. And third configuration, no specific configuration that both student and teacher had to set while using the mobile application. Only students with Android smartphone were able to install the mobile application in their smartphone. The diagram shows all the evaluation process for each of the previous phases. For analysis phase, the evaluation was done on the themes that were emerged from the thematic analysis. Validation was made by the university lecturer who expert in physics education. For design phase, the evaluation was done on the content of the learning material. Validation was made by 2 subject matter experts and 4 senior matriculation physics lecturers. For development phase, the evaluation was done on the run test of the prototypes. The execution was done using MIT AI2 companion application. For implementation phase, the evaluation was done during the pilot test. Students answered the survey and the value of reliability was calculated. The product of this study is a mobile application named Mix that is formatted in .apk, which can operate on any mobile phone with Android base. The diagram shows a login screen and the main menu screen. As a conclusion, Next, the developed mobile application prototype could be utilized as a pedagogical support on mobile inquiry-based learning. To all the viewers, thank you for the precious time.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Khairul. So any question from the floor?
Okay, very cool. Integrated.
Question, or maybe can write on the chat room.
Nampak tak gambar saya? Tak nampak saya punya ni. Kamera dah on dah ni.
Okay, so it seems like there are no questions from the floor. So thank you once again, Mr. Muhammad Khairul Azmi. Okay, so let's move to the next presenter. Okay, so please welcome Mrs. Siti Nur Fazila binti Ramli from University Science Malaysia with the title of presentation ICAP module, blending the innovation and chemical entrepreneurship approaches to enhance students' learning motivation in chemistry. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Okay, please allow me to share my presentation video. Can everyone see my presentation video on the screen? Okay.
Sorry, Mrs. Siti, can you stop your sharing, please?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so maybe you don't click button optimize motion.
Optimize what? Sorry.
Optimize motion. Dekat share, click share, share content.
Wait.
Maybe can stop first sharing. Okay, click share content.
Okay.
And then on the top right, okay, we have automatically optimize. Okay, so click optimize for motion and video.
Okay.
Uh,
Alright.
okay, and then share.
Sorry for the technical problem.
It's okay.
So I'll start over.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank Universiti Malaysia Terengganu and Ministry of Education Malaysia because through ICSTEM 2021, I have the opportunity and a platform to share part of my PhD research studies. My name is Situna Fazila binti Ramli from University Science of Malaysia, USM, and my teammates in this paper are my supervisors, Dr. Nur Jahan Ahmad and Dr. Nur Aida Yaakob. In today's presentation, I'm hoping that I'm able to cover 4 main contents. Firstly, introduction and background. Secondly, methodology applied. Thirdly, the findings and results. And finally, the conclusion. Okay, to begin with, here is our study title. ICET module, Blending the Innovation and Chemical Entrepreneurship Approaches to Enhance Students' Learning Motivation in Chemistry, where ICET is an acronym created for Innovation and Chemical Entrepreneurship. All right, in this section, I would like to briefly explain the introduction and background of studies into 3 main key points, which are learning motivation. We will look at the definition, theory related, and its importance. And then we will look at how innovation helps in learning motivation, and also why did we blend innovation and chemical entrepreneurship. Okay, as we already know, motivation is an internal factor that drives a person to maintain an optimum. So what is learning motivation? Learning motivation, according to Cook and Artino 2016 and Desi et al. In 1991, it is a nature of a strong desire or a strong spirit which encourage a person or an individual to try or do something with a purpose to acquire the knowledge and skills. It is also an internal condition that evokes, directs, and also sustains behaviors towards learning, according to Yu et al. In 2018. So, why is it important? Well, in the literature done, learning motivation in chemistry is due to the demands of these 4 aspects. The first aspect is the abstractness of the chemistry. The second aspect is the attrition in chemistry courses, which the percentage of attrition is keep increasing. And the third aspect is the contribution of chemistry towards economic advancement and sustainability is no doubt. So chemistry learning motivation is highly on demand. And then aspect number 4 is the mastery and achievement in chemistry. So in this study, why innovation is imposed to enhance students' learning motivation? First of all, innovation is referring to something newly introduced, such as new methods, systems, customs, and materials, according to Byrne 2010 and Paul 2016. And the elements of innovation is proven can help to realize the real-world pattern learning and provide a more meaningful learning experience, according to Hero and Lindfors in 2019 and Promanasari in 2016. So how? Okay, according to self-determination theory, which is SDT, proposed by Ryan and Desi in 2008, students' learning motivation can be fostered when 3 basic of human needs are fulfilled. They are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Where in SDT, students which experience learning which encourage them to possess autonomy, competence, and relatedness will foster volition, motivation, and engagement towards the learning process, and thus will result in enhanced performance and persistence and also their creativity. The big question is, how are we going to give the students these 3 basic needs as proposed by SDT in their learning experience? Undergoing a critical and systematic literature studies, we found that through innovation, which provide hands-on project and teamworks, and also when the students finish their innovation project, they will get positive rewards and satisfaction. These 2 activities and these 2 situations will help students to experience these 3 basic needs, which is autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Okay, as innovation can help in serving these 3 basic needs, why we blended it with chemical entrepreneurship? In short, CEP. So first of all, CEP is a real-world context chemistry learning approach where students learn the process of processing the material into useful products with commercial value and foster the entrepreneurship skills along with the learning activities. In other words, we can say that chemical entrepreneurship educates students on how to make materials or products related to chemistry sellable. There are different names for CEP such as chemo entrepreneurship in Indonesia and chemistry entrepreneurship in United States of America. So why do we need to blend chemical entrepreneurships with innovations? Okay, so we know that students innovate chemistry or chemical-based innovation or process, and then they learn how to commercialize their innovation through CEP. So through innovation, they have to produce innovation based on design thinking. In this study, we use design thinking, which is too general and is not focusing on commercialization. But in this CEP, it is focused on how to make their innovation or chemistry-based innovation sellable. So that is why we need to combine innovation and CEP, because CEP will complement the innovation step so that they will produce an innovation that has commercial value. So in this study, what methodology has been used or has been applied? So in this study, we applied quasi-experimental design, pre-test and post-test, control and treatment groups, where the instrument used in this study is the Chemistry Learning Motivation Questionnaire, CLMQ, with 22 items, which is being adapted from Science Learning Motivation Questionnaire, SMQ2, by Glynn et al. 2011 and Glynn et al. 2009. And the sampling is about 60 pre-university students has been chosen through cluster random sampling out of 360 population of low achievement in chemistry students in science stream from a college in Penang, Malaysia. Okay, the procedure of collecting and analyzing data. Okay, first of all, ICEP module and CLMQ instrument has been developed, and then we run through the validity and reliability and pilot test, and then we proceed with the pre-test of CLMQ, and then the intervention, different intervention for treatment and control group. Treatment group using ICEP module, whereas control group just using simple instruction and the conventional way of delivering the innovation project task. And for after that, we run the post-test CLMQ instrument. And the data collected is about the CLMQ score, pre-test and post-test, and has been analyzed using t-test analysis using SPSS 26.0. Okay, this is the descriptive analysis of the pre-test and post-test of both treatment and control group. Okay. And then this is the PET sample t-test that we analyze for the treatment and control group, where the pair 1 is referring to the pre-test for both treatment and control group. Pair 2 is referring to the post-test, both treatment and control group. and pair 3 is the pre-test versus post-test of treatment group, and pair 4 is the pre-test versus post-test of the control group. Okay, these are the results analyzed from the PET sample t-test. For the pre-test for both treatment and control, we found that there is no statistically significant difference. And for the post-test difference in treatment and control, there is a statistically significant difference where the effect size is 0.74, which according to Cohen is a large effect size. And then for the pre-test versus post-test, for treatment group, there is a statistically significant difference where the effect size is 0.62 and is considered as large effect size, which means that there is improvement for the treatment group from the pre-test to the post-test. And for the control group, pre-test versus post-test, there is no statistically significant difference. So as for the conclusion, we can say that the treatment group has a higher mean score in chemistry learning motivation questionnaire compared to the control group. So this means that the ICSTEM module, which integrates innovation and CEP, do contribute to enhancing treatment sample learning motivation as they go through the lesson activity in the module. As for the control group, although they also have to produce innovative product as lesson project, without these two elements, innovation and CEP does not help much in enhancing their learning motivation. Both innovation and CEP approaches blended well in enhancing the students' learning motivation toward chemistry in this study. We intended that these well-balanced approaches would be extended to other relevant courses in order to improve students' learning innovations, students' learning motivation, and eventually their performance. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Siti Nurfazila. So, any question from the floor? Okay, we have another 3 minutes for Q&A session. So, any question? Okay, so we have a question from Mr. Rosnizam. Can you explain about your t-test analysis?
Okay, my t-test analysis in this paper, I run the PET sample t-test. PET sample t-test between treatment and control group. Is it answering your question or what?
Okay, another question.
Because this is only part of my thesis. The whole thesis is I run MANOVA.
Miss Fazila?
Yes, do you try to look at mix and ANOVA? Actually, my whole thesis is I do MANOVA. I'll do MANOVA, but in this conference, I just run part of the sample data through t-test. I don't expose all my paper here, all my thesis here. What is the product? The product is the ICSTEM module. I developed a module, ICSTEM module, and then I would like to see the effectiveness of the module towards three variables, but in this conference, I just referring to one of the variable, which is learning motivation in chemistry.
Alright, so I think there are no more questions. So, are you a PhD student, Mrs. Nazim?
Yeah,
Siti?
Yes, I am
PhD student.
PhD student. That's why I don't expose everything, just regarding my topic, my title here.
Okay. Anyway, nice sharing. Alright, so thank you so much, Mrs. Siti Nurfazila. Okay. So next, we go to the next presenter, Mrs. Pang Yiji from College Tingkatan 6 Tun Fatimah Melaka, with the title of presentation, The Impact of Robotics Competition for Integrated STEM Education. Please welcome.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, today I'm going to present the impact of robotics competition in integrated STEM education. Okay, the percentage of students pursue pure science and STEM seems reducing. Okay, from the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025, okay, we can see that the number of students who pursue the pure science is dropped from 2014 until 2018. So the enrollment for Form 1, when they come to Form 3, okay, the enrollment seems reducing. And when they go to Form 4, who take the pure science, okay, the number keep reducing. And this happened to the university and to the STEM job workforce. The secondary school, community college, and university are not producing STEM graduates that are workforce readily. So if we base on this data, okay, we need 1 million of STEM skills workers, okay, which is divided into the scientists, engineers, technology, okay, or the architects, ICT, while the other part is the for TVETs. Okay, so to overcome this problem, okay, we propose this methodology. Okay, that is using robotics project-based learning mixed with the competition, okay, to increase the students' interest in STEM education. Okay, the methodology used is through this design and developmental research. It's by Ritchie in 2007 and Saida in 2013. Okay, the first phase is the needs analysis. Okay, we carry out the learners' needs, teachers' needs, institution needs, and professional body needs. Okay, to see the needs to produce a module, the integrated STEM module. Instead, phase 2, okay, we design the module using the suitable conceptual framework, okay, by using ICSTEM instructional design. In phase 3, the development phase, okay, we develop the integrated robotics STEM curriculum based on the subject contents, aim, learning outcomes, teaching strategies, learning activities, and learner supports. While in phase 4, we implement this module, okay, and the competition is carried out to assess the outcome. Okay, in phase 1, the needs analysis, okay, the literature review consists of the learning theory, for example, constructivism and constructionism. While we review the available tools, for example, okay, we use robotics or we use the online platform and module. What the pedagogy use is the project-based learning or the problem-based learning. Okay, after that, the needs questionnaire is analyzed And we choose the preferred learning tool, that is using the educational robotics to enhance students' interest in STEM. Okay. For the document analysis, okay, we analyze the curriculum, the science curriculum, mathematics curriculum, exercise computer, and we combine it, become our special integrated STEM robotic curriculum. Okay, in phase 2, there is design and development. Okay, we use the fuzzy Delphi method, okay, to get the comment or the ideas from the experts. So in this design phase, the process of producing the main components and elements for the robotic competition-based learning. Okay, this is the step that we design a module. Okay, while in development, we use the modified nominal group technique to identify the suitable criteria. Okay. Okay, so this is our flow of the research. Okay, by using constructivism theory and constructionism theory combined into the project-based learning, okay, we construct the instrument to get the analysis. Okay, while this content validity is by 4 experts, the questionnaire is distributed to the expert, while after we interpret the data, we come out this robotics competition-based learning framework. Okay, to implement this robotics competition-based learning, okay, this is the flow that we have the online registration for the participant. Okay, and the participant will use the robotics STEM module with the training material and online support. Okay, this is the conceptual framework. Okay, we want to integrate the 4 different subjects. So we use robotics project-based learning as the sun gear. Okay, it will activate the 4 individual, this is a planet gears. Okay, so the gear 1 is the scientific concept. Gear 2 is engineering design. Gear 3, the mathematic thinking knowledge. And gear 4 is the technological literacy. Okay, so by using this robotic project-based learning plus the competition, so we can integrate all these single subjects into one. Okay, and we can promote a positive attitude towards STEM. Okay, so this is during the implementation. Okay, how we collect data. Okay, the data was collected using the ICSTEM survey and interview. Okay, this is part of our module. Okay, so the participant need to fulfill the mission, achieve the objective, and apply the STEM concepts. Okay, the first mission for this STEM module, then the robot need to clear the ping pong balls for the team area to the opponent area. So the objective is the participant build a remote control robot, which they apply the concept of technology literacy, okay, science concept, the speed and rotation, engineering concept, okay, build a large storage tank to transport the balls, okay, and mathematics concept to calculate the probability of the balls collected. Okay, so this is during the competition. The students apply their concept. Okay, by using competition, they can learn from each other. This is the engineering part. They use the gear and they design to achieve the objective. Okay, they build a big storage. Okay, and they troubleshoot. Okay, this is another project. That is Robot Syracuse project. Okay, the participant need to build a robot which can throw ping pong ball into a group of cups to gain highest point. Okay, the objective is to build a catapult robot which can aim at the target accurately. So the students apply their science concept, that is projectile, angle of projection, energy of catapult. Technology concept is the catapult is programmed to move the highest rate, okay, to move at the fastest and highest and fastest. Okay, engineering part, okay, the student need to build the robot which can apply the mechanism of throwing more balls. Okay, for example, the robot can throw 3 or 5 balls in one time. Okay, or the robot can auto-reload the catapult. So it is not manually, the robot can do it by itself. Okay, in mathematical concept, the students can calculate the probability and calculate the maximum range the ball falls. Okay, by using formula and the angle, so the student can apply their mathematical concepts. Okay, this is how the students apply their knowledge. The students try and error using the guidelines in the robot STEM module. Okay, in the module that we develop, okay, we have the guidelines how the student can build the best model. Okay, so during the competition, okay, the students can learn from each other and they have collaborative learning. Okay, they work in group work. Okay, this is another project in the module. Okay, that is the student need to build the sumo robot. The science concept is force, power, ultrasonic and color sensors, and the stability. While the technology part, the students need to program, okay, and use the Bluetooth remote control to control the robot. Okay, in the engineering part, okay, the robot bits can expand to a bigger size so they are more stable, okay, and they can exert more force to push the opponent. Okay, in mathematics, okay, the students need to calculate the ultrasonic range, okay, so that the robot won't drop from the battlefield. Okay, this is the example. Okay, so this robot which has greater force or more stable, okay, it can hit on the opponents. Okay, after the implementation phase, okay, the assessment phase is involved by quantitative method and qualitative method. Okay, for quantitative method, we use the ICSTEM survey to collect the data, while for qualitative method, okay, we use the focus group interview. Okay, we interview the participants to get their response on this module and their outcome of the learning. Okay, these are the sample items, okay, in which consists in the ICSTEM survey. Okay, in ICSTEM survey, the constructs are divided into mathematics, science, engineering, and technology. Okay, these are the sample items. For example, the question asks that maths has been my best subject. Okay, so the students need to answer the Likert scale, okay, from 1 to 5. Okay, so this is number of items. Okay, for science, the sample item is science will be important to me in my future career. While for engineering and technology, okay, the sample item is I want to be creative in my future job. Okay, so by using this construct, okay, we can investigate the students' attitude towards STEM. Okay, we test the reliability of the STEM survey. Okay, and the value calculated shows that, okay, the reliability is high. Okay, while we also compare the result of the STEM survey, okay, within two groups. That is, the students learn the STEM concept with robot and without robot. Okay, so the result shows that there is not much significant difference for the student who use the robot and without robot in maths and your future. But in science and engineering and technology, it shows that there is difference within these two groups. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Pang Yiji. Okay, so any question from the floor? Okay, so there are a question from Rian. Okay, on the chat board. Okay, do you align the robotic modules with any subject or topics in the school curriculum?
Yes. Okay. Wait. Okay, pardon.
Do you align the robotic modules with any subject or topics in the school curriculum?
Yeah, we carry out this project in co-curriculum activities. So we didn't do inside the curriculum. This is the core curriculum, and we try to propose it to embed into the curriculum. But it needs a lot of skills for the teachers. So we are still in the process of enhance this or implement it in the curriculum.
Okay, so another question from the audience.
How long to complete the whole module? Yeah, okay, it takes about 6 months, 6 months to complete the module. So inside the module, there are 10 activities. So the 10 activities, okay, we have the guidelines, okay, how to implement the science, mathematics concept, and how to build the robot with the suggested program. So even the students with zero knowledge, okay, they can use this module, okay, to learn the robotics, and then they can apply it during the competition. So during the competition, the students will bring their robot, okay, to compete with the other teams.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Miss Pang Yiji, for the nice sharing. Okay, so let's move to the next presenter. Please welcome Mrs. Eliza Anis, anak perempuan Tangaia from Unit Latihan Bahagian Beasiswa dan Pembiayaan, Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, Cawangan Cyberjaya. With the title of presentation is Determining the Values and Attributes in E-Learning from Vocational Students' Perspective. Please welcome.
Y'all can hear me? Hello? You can hear me?
Ya, madam.
Boleh dengar?
Yes.
Boleh ya? Okay, okay.
Ya, boleh dengar.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Very good afternoon. I am Eliza Anis. Okay, I'm a team of 3 with my supervisors, which is Dr. Ruzakia Jenal and Jahamaya Yahaya. I'm from UKM. My title for today's presentation is Determining the Values and Attributes in E-Learning from Vocational Students' Perspective. Okay, the contents today comprises 6 subtopics, and I'll start with the introduction first. Okay, e-learning. So e-learning currently plays an essential role in supporting and engaging education and learning among its users. And we know it's very important, especially during the pandemic season right now. And in the development of e-learning platform, most system developers focus on tangible, meaning they more focus on the devices or infrastructures and how's the platform look like, resources to build the e-learning platform, while intangible resources such as values to users are less considered. And values are unique among individuals and can influence the user's behavior in using a product or services and exist in the user's cognitive space. And as we understand, e-learning is a service actually to the students and teachers. So it is essential to identify the platform critical features, meaning frequently or most used attributes on the e-learning platform from the user's perspective. Thus, this study focused on e-learning services at vocational schools to identify critical functional attribute of an e-learning platform by understanding the cognitive structure towards system usage and their values derived from the student's perspective. Okay, the background. First, of course, I looked into e-learning. As we understand, now e-learning it is delivered by the web-based or mobile-based and has become common in education. So the theory I looked into to get the value is from service science. It is a multidisciplinary effort to understand how service systems interact and create shared values. So cooperation between service providers and consumers can produce value where value exists only due to teamwork and collaboration from the party involved only. Okay, so one of the key elements in the service science is value co-creation, VCC. So it's a concept where it is used to create an interaction between the provider. So in our e-learning, teacher is the provider and the users who are students to enable the events to be handled together and create new value. Thus, without the element of user experience, the evaluation of an item depends on technical aspect or external variable only. So, in order to get the value co-creation, the next theory I looked into is MEC, which is means and chains. It is a very popular theory in marketing to identify thinking towards a product or services in terms of consumer cognitive structure. So in a platform, MEC comprises of 3 elements, which is attributes, means via consequences upon a product or service usage to reach the user's anticipated ends, referring to values. So in e-learning, so what is the attribute? So there are 2 types of attribute actually. One is a concrete feature such as physical or technical, or abstract feature such as intangible characteristic like quality. Okay, next, so first was the attribute. Next is the consequences. Consequences are 2 also, which is functional consequences, and the second one is psychological consequences. Functional consequences is referring to concrete benefit of service usage, and psychological consequences refer to subjectivity such as feeling. And the third component is value. So this value is closely associated with attitude, personality, and needs, but are conceptually different. So the links between the attribute, consequences, and value would provide information on what and why an attribute means to the user. So I have used one of the technique in laddering, which is associate pattern technique under Reynolds. So the relationship between all the attribute, consequences, and value will build a ladder. So this objective of this presentation is to study the aims to collect favorable attribute, consequences, and values from vocational students using one of the hard laddering technique known as association pattern technique method. Okay, so how did I collected the data is through online, and to identify the students we use the snowball sampling to identify student with e-learning platform experienced by their teachers from 4 regions in Malaysia, which is North, Middle, South, and East. 2 types of information were collected. One is the demographic information via Google Form, and the laddering tool was built with Google Sheet and Excel. Okay, so these are the elements I used in my study, which is collected from the literature review and pilot studies. So there are 25 attributes finalized, 15 functional consequences, 15 psychological consequences, and 16 values. So all these elements I presented to the students in the APT form so that they can build the ladders. So this is a sample of the screen. which is I built using the Google Sheet, where they will click and move to build one after another until they from attribute go to consequences, then consequences they finish up with the values. Okay, so the data analysis discusses the result of the quantitative APT analysis. So as I explained just now, the laddering format consists of attribute, goes to the function consequences, psychological, and ends with value. And this data will be collected in a matrix form construct developed as summary implication matrix, or known as SIM. Okay, so since we have a lot of ladders, so there are three important index are used to find to pick the best ladder among all the ladders. So the three values are cutoff value, abstraction, and centralization. So there is a software online called as excuse me, Ladder UX, and I also compared the result with Microsoft Excel to see the significance of the result. Okay, what is cutoff index? It is the frequency of the relationship, because from one points to the another, so we need to find the best relationship. So the first is the cutoff index. Next is abstractness, to identify each element hierarchical position. So they are, when they are mapping to each other, they are positioned who are important things like that, and whether they are mapping accordingly. Okay, so we use abstractness to find that. And the last is centrality, is to determine the importance of each element in HVM, which is hierarchical value matrix. So based from the three indexes, we identify 19 ladders, which it leads from attribute, functional consequences, psychological consequences, and ends with value. So I will show, okay, based from this result, we build the HVM. This is called HVM. And as we can see at the bottom, it starts with the attributes. Second, with the functional consequences, and then psychological consequences. And at the end is the value part. There's a grid at the side to show the levels of abstraction. So as I stated earlier, games, okay, all those below is attribute. They are the means, while the values are the ends. And by using the APT technique, it does show, it starts from the means and ends at the ends. Okay. So I've used certain criteria to show which elements have the better centrality value, which is shaded darker compared to the rest, and different color coding also to differentiate the type of elements. Okay, as a result, 19 ladders are chosen, comprising 12 attributes, 8 functional consequences, 8 psychological consequences, and 8 values. Among all those attributes, the 25 games and quizzes with videos are the 2 attributes that generated the most clicks among the students. And the value that leads them, why are they choosing those attributes? Were the sense of accomplishment, helpful, self-fulfillment, excitement, and fun and enjoyment are life. That are the one who leads the students. Since I conducted the study in a vocational, so the attributes such as simulation exercise and life learning are unique compared to regular schools, which help to attract vocational students and institute. Thus, the future studies may explore particular attributes such as games and quizzes with videos with more specific features to lead the users. Hence, we recommend the more detailed attribute features be analyzed for the laddering item for the future research. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Eliza Anis. Okay, so any question from the floor?
Miss Eliza.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I see your result. Did you do some optimization from your result?
Yes, I started with the pilot study first.
Okay.
Then I conducted, because there were a lot of lists of attributes and the second, because I derived from observation and also from literature review. So I used first went for the Kajar Rintis. So I saw which one was not chosen by them. So I eliminated them. Then the final result was the table I presented just now. So then I conducted the research with 200 students.
Okay, thank you. Because when I saw your result, this is my opinion. It's better
Okay.
if you can use genetic algorithm to get the better conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my opinion only.
Genetic algorithm.
Yeah, genetic
Okay.
algorithm. That was coding. My very simple thing.
Okay.
Oh,
Because I derived the theory from MEC theory. So they use the laddering. So and the laddering, how they process is the three index: centrality, abstractness, and so I can look into genetic algorithm to strengthen my findings maybe.
yeah, that's good. I mean, if we see the result by 2 eyes, it's better we can see the result by 4 eyes, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Eliza. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Eliza Anis, for your presentation. Okay, so please welcome our last presenter for today for this session. Okay, Dr. Ching Yi Yong, okay, from University College of Technology Sarawak, with the title EMCQI, a robust and strategic CQI, continuous quality improvement model for engineering program assessment. Please welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. So please allow me to share my video.
Yeah, Doctor. Still viewing.
A very good day to everyone. I am Yong
Yes. Okay.
from University College of Technology Sarawak, UCS. My title of the presentation is ESCQI, a robust and strategic CQI model for engineering program assessment. This is our team. Mr. Samat is the head of program of electrical engineering. I am the CQI coordinator for the program. The motivation and objective of this study is to fulfill the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality education. The proposed CQI model is crucial on evaluating performance. The model was adopted from Goldstone based on 7 aspects. This table shows the outcomes after the model was being implemented. This diagram shows the overview of the outcome-based education, OBE, implemented in UCTS. The blocks in yellow color show where the CQI model comes in. The implementation of CQI is to close the loop of the OBE model through data analysis of assessment tool. What CQI is? When we try to translate into an equation, CQI is equals to the input plus analysis plus action. Input is the student's progress test and final exam result. Analysis is the statistical computation used to translate all those numbers into categorical outcomes. Action is the steps that we need to take in order to increase the performance. The diagram shows how the proposed CQI model works. This CQI model drives an intercorrelation evaluation that includes not just the current semester, but also the previous and following semesters. Meaning to say, the previous semester CQI may affect the current semester CQI and also the coming semester. This proposed model provides a proper platform to the course lecturer to take aggressive measures against students who did not perform well during progress test. This correlation was discovered by quantitative and qualitative measurements. We start at the previous semester, where we have final exam. After the exam, all data was collected and the failure rate of the course will be recorded. If there is failure in the course lecturer has to propose feedback and improvement plan to tackle this failure. This action and plan will be bringing forward to the current semester as reference. Next, we try to focus on the current semester. There are 2 assessments, Test 1 and final exam in the current semester. After the Test 1 was conducted during week 6 to week 8, we look at the failure rate of the course. If there is no failure, the previous bring forward CQI can be closed. If there is failure, the previous CQI will be bringing forward and executed during the current semester. For the current semester, after progress test was executed, a new CQI action will be proposed by course lecturer. It is compulsory for all courses including courses with no failure. This current CQI action is executed throughout the whole current semester to monitor the student's performance. During week 16 to 18, final exam will be conducted. If no failure, the current CQI can be closed. If there is failure, the current CQI action will be bringing forward to the next semester. And the loop is restarted again. In 2018 December, the system is ready to be tested. The first study was conducted in 2019 February semester. Everything is going smoothly and the outcome is satisfactory. Until year 2020 February, 4 weeks after the semester was started, MCO was initiated. Teaching and learning mode was changed to online. The university, academic staffs and students are started to adapt ourselves to the new environment. The system has covered 4 semesters and still in ongoing. Being tested for 90 core engineering courses with 1,062 of total sittings. These are the 4 consecutive semesters where we started to inject our CQI model into the program. The number of course will all students pass and number of students pass the particular course are increasing from semester to semester. In February semester year 2020, there was an intriguing tiny fall. The passing rate was reduced by 2%. This was attributed to the first movement control order, MCO issued by the Malaysian government to restrict resident movement in order to break the chain of infection during the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result, the university changed the mode of physical, face-to-face teaching and learning to online mode at the soonest time. It took time for both students and lecturers to adjust due to the changing of mode. What we can observe from the assessment comments, the ICT equipment, including internet coverage, has become a major concern and drawback for online teaching and learning. Furthermore, the final exam mode was changed to online, and the table of specifications of the questions was changed to cover a higher proportion of complex engineering elements in the questions. This table shows the types of action proposed and executed by the course lecturers to improve the teaching and learning. From observation for the 4 consecutive semesters, more than 50% of the proposed action is extra-tutorial and class. This may imply that some of the students need more time to digest the content, and extra lectures to refresh or revise some particular topics. On the other hand, face-to-face consultation is the lowest. This is due to this action type is very passive and mostly depends on the student to propose for a consultation meeting. In order to cope with particular condition, lecturers may combine 2 or more types of actions for improvement. However, the first proposed action was used to document the records. These are some of the reporting section from the assessment tool. Our solution is low cost, more features, save time, and last but not least, quality, with analysis of descriptive and statistical data. As a conclusion, this model is effective. The model is customizable. We can adjust the model according to the needs. For future work, we are trying to cover more data by involving other programs. The proposed model is not limited to engineering program only. It can be applied onto all performance evaluation relevant to marking. For more information, please contact the email show. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ching. So, any question from the floor? Okay, so I think there are no questions from the audience. Okay, so thanks again, Dr. Chin Ye Yong, okay, for the nice presentation, even though there are video recorded, okay, recorded video, okay, nice. Alright, so to all participants, okay, on the chat box, okay, there are link event evaluation. So we hope everyone can fill in the forms, okay, about evaluation of the whole program for today. Okay, so we have okay, for the next session this evening, starting on 2 p.m. Sorry, 3 p.m. But 2 p.m. we have plenary session. Okay, so once again, boleh tak kalau kita adakan sesi fotografi sekali lagi? Okay, please on camera, everyone.
Ni dua kali lah.
Okay, technical ready? Alright, so smile. 1, 2, 3.
One more.
Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Alright, okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we now have come to the end of our session. So on behalf of the organizing committee, okay, I would like to convey my greatest appreciation to all the participants, to all the presenters for today, especially for those who stick with from the beginning till end of the session. So with that, I end this session with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.